A canyon that swallows mountains, a bridge that towers above them, and an expressway floating high in the air. This is the Huajiang Canyon Bridge in Guizhou, China, a project so massive it's rewriting engineering records and shrinking a one-hour canyon crossing to less than 60 seconds. It's going to amaze you. To understand why this bridge is such a marvel, you first have to know the landscape it conquers. The Huajiang Canyon, often nicknamed by locals as Earth's Crack, is one of the deepest gorges in China. Its sheer limestone cliffs plunge steeply toward the Beipan River, creating an environment so harsh that locals long joke the canyon divided life into before the bridge and after the bridge. And if you think it's a pretty, natural wonder, no. It's not. It's a logistical nightmare. The canyon walls rise almost vertically, making road building a dangerous game of switchbacks and hairpin turns. Traveling from one side to the other wasn't simply inconvenient, it was exhausting. A one-hour detour on treacherous mountain roads was the only option, and that meant delayed goods, limited access to hospitals, and lost economic opportunities for surrounding villages. So why build here? The answer lies in connectivity and survival. Guizhou Province, while stunning, is one of China's most mountainous and least accessible regions. For decades, development lagged because transportation was simply too difficult. By daring to span Huajiang Canyon, China isn't just building a bridge, it's opening a lifeline that will connect communities, accelerate trade, and transform an isolated landscape into a thriving corridor of opportunity. Now that we've set the stage, let's talk about the star of the story, the Huajiang Canyon Bridge itself. At first glance, it may look like just another suspension bridge, but its scale is so extraordinary that it completely redefines what big means in bridge engineering. Here are the mind-bending numbers. The bridge's towers rise nearly 625 meters, or 2,051 feet, above the riverbed. That's taller than New York's One World Trade Center, the tallest building in the United States. And if you stacked it 1.5 times, the bridge would still rise higher. Its main span stretches 1,420 meters, or 4,659 feet, ranking among the longest suspension spans in the world. And if you include the approach spans, the entire bridge measures 2,890 meters, or 9,480 feet, end to end, long enough to hold nearly 27 football fields laid back to back. The Millau Viaduct in France once stunned the world at 343 meters. The Golden Gate's towers stand proud at 227 meters, or 745 feet. Even China's Duje Bridge, often called the highest roadway in the world at 565 meters, now looks small. Huajiang doesn't just join the list, it rewrites everything. And here's the key. When we say it will be the tallest bridge in the world, we're talking about structural height from riverbed to deck. That's a measurement rarely achieved in mountainous regions, making this project not only one of the boldest, but also one of the most technically challenging bridge designs ever attempted. Megaprojects like this don't happen overnight, and the Huajiang Canyon Bridge is no exception. The journey began with early geological surveys in 2021, when teams of engineers and scientists spent months studying the canyon's unforgiving limestone cliffs and unpredictable winds. Only after they were sure the site could handle such a colossal structure did official work begin. On January 18, 2022, the groundbreaking ceremony marked the official start of construction. By late that year, foundations and piers were in place, setting the stage for one of the most challenging phases, erecting the bridge towers. In April 2023, the North Tower soared past 199 meters, capped off with its final beam, while the South Tower reached its 204-meter peak by October 2023. With both towers complete, attention shifted to the lifelines of the bridge, its main cables. By April 2024, strands of the suspension cables stretched across the gorge like giant silver threads, pulled taut with millimeter precision. The next feat was assembling the deck. Prefabricated steel truss sections, some weighing hundreds of tons, were hoisted and bolted into place high above the Beipan River. In January 2025, the final piece locked into position, completing the span. Then came the ultimate test. In August 2025, to prove its strength, engineers lined up nearly 100 trucks, 96 in total, weighing over 3,300 tons. When they rolled across, the bridge barely moved. With finishing touches underway, it's on track to open in late 2025, forever changing travel across Guizhou. What sets the Huajiang Canyon Bridge apart isn't just its size, it's the cutting-edge engineering that made the impossible possible. Unlike traditional suspension bridges, this one uses a steel truss deck composed of around 93 prefabricated segments. Each was manufactured off-site, transported in pieces, and carefully assembled above the canyon, minimizing risk and speeding up construction. Accuracy was everything. To hang a deck nearly 625 meters or 2,051 feet above a river, there was no room for error. That's why engineers relied on Beidou satellite positioning technology, China's answer to GPS, to align cables and suspenders with millimeter precision. Imagine threading a needle, but from opposite sides of a gorge over half a mile deep. Anchoring cables meant boring deep tunnels into the mountain, since traditional gravity anchors wouldn't work on sheer cliffs. Building across Huajiang's canyon wasn't just about concrete and steel, it was about defying nature. Engineers drilled anchors deep into the mountain rock, locking the bridge against landslides. Then came the winds. 14 cables and aerodynamic shaping kept the span steady in storms. A bridge? More like a mountain-sized experiment in survival. Engineers had to tame fierce canyon winds with an aerodynamic deck, stabilizing plates, and real-time sensors, halting work whenever gusts became too strong. Stability and safety came first. Safety for workers was paramount too. Cable cars, rack and pinion hoists, and towering cranes were installed to shuttle men and materials up and down the colossal towers. Of course, no record-breaking bridge comes without its battles. The Huajiang Canyon Bridge faced challenges that would have halted most projects. First was the geology. The site sits on a karst plateau, riddled with caves, sinkholes, and unstable limestone cliffs. Building solid foundations required months of drilling, reinforcing, and adjusting designs to account for shifting ground conditions. One wrong calculation could have spelled disaster. Then came the weather. Guizhou's climate is as wild as its landscape. Monsoonal rains, rapid day-night temperature swings, and canyon winds reaching hurricane force constantly disrupted progress. Entire workdays were often lost to high winds or sudden downpours, forcing crews to adapt their schedules around nature's mood swings. The canyon's twisting roads made transport nearly impossible, so parts arrived in smaller sections and were assembled on-site. Helicopters, cranes, and cable cars carried materials and workers, while real-time monitoring halted construction whenever high winds or unsafe conditions threatened. In short, this wasn't just construction, it was survival against geology, weather, and gravity itself. And yet, through persistence and ingenuity, the Huajiang Canyon Bridge took shape, proving that no challenge is too great when human ambition meets engineering brilliance. Building something this massive usually comes at a cost to the environment. But the Huajiang Canyon Bridge was designed with minimal disturbance in mind. Instead of blasting huge anchor pits into the canyon walls, engineers opted for rock-bore tunnel anchors, which reduced slope excavation and preserved the fragile limestone landscape. Most of the construction relied on modular prefabrication, assembling parts high above the gorge rather than carving new roads into it. Unlike many megaprojects, this one avoided large-scale resettlement, meaning local communities were not uprooted in the process. And far from disrupting the area, the bridge is set to enhance it. Plans are already in motion for glass walkways and tourist attractions, transforming this engineering marvel into a destination in itself. By slashing travel time from an hour to less than 60 seconds, it's not only connecting cities, but also breathing new life into Guizhou's local economy. And the records? They speak for themselves. Once complete, the Huajiang Canyon Bridge will officially be the tallest in the world, with its deck soaring 625 meters or 2,051 feet above the Beipan River. Its suspension span of 1,420 meters will make it the longest ever attempted in a mountain canyon. To put its scale into perspective, the deck alone weighs about as much as 6 Statues of Liberty stacked one on top of the other. Perhaps the most dramatic change is practical. What once required a nerve-wracking 1-hour drive now takes a single minute. With this bridge, Guizhou cements its reputation as the bridge capital of the world, already home to 4 of the 10 tallest bridges on Earth. So who actually made this feat possible? At the top, the project is owned and funded by the state-run Guizhou Transportation Investment Group. The design was spearheaded by the Guizhou Provincial Transportation Planning and Design Institute, with chief designer Ye Hongping at the helm. The heavy lifting fell to the Guizhou Communications and Bridge Construction Group, while the China Railway Baoji Bridge Group handled the precision work of fabricating and assembling the steel deck. Academic partners also played a crucial role. Tongji University provided satellite-guided cable positioning technology, while local universities supplied expert manpower and on-site innovation. A project of this scale was never going to be cheap, and the Huajiang Canyon Bridge proves exactly that. The final price tag is estimated at 2 billion RMB, or roughly $280 million. What makes it especially interesting is not just the cost, but how it's being funded. Unlike many major global infrastructure projects that rely on a mix of government support, international loans, or private investment through public-private partnerships, this bridge is being financed entirely by the Chinese state. It's part of the country's ambitious Western Development Plan, a long-term strategy to modernize and economically uplift its less developed interior provinces. Guizhou, where the bridge is located, has historically been one of China's poorer regions, known for its rugged terrain but limited connectivity. By pouring billions into a structure like this, the government is sending a clear signal. Infrastructure is not just about transportation, it's about nation building. For Beijing, the Huajiang Canyon Bridge isn't merely a road link, it's a statement of national ambition. The project reflects China's philosophy that massive state-led infrastructure investment fuels economic growth, reduces regional inequality, and demonstrates engineering dominance on the world stage. In short, every bolt and cable is both a practical necessity and a symbol of power. The Huajiang Canyon Bridge is more than steel and concrete. It's a lifeline for Guizhou, linking remote regions to markets and healthcare. Overcoming fierce winds and sheer cliffs, it symbolizes China's bold infrastructure push and global ambition, standing as proof of what humanity can achieve against nature's toughest extremes. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like more updates, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't miss any videos and get notifications on time. Don't hesitate to give suggestions for our videos. See you at the next one.